This is Big Brother watching. Scarlett Poppyfield to room 101. No, just kidding.
Scarlett there. Hello.
You would have enjoyed the meal tonight, Scarlett. Big tomahawk steak, seared, placed in a pan, veg, stock. My goodness, was it good? And there's tons of it left. Very enjoyable. I'm not sure if I'm spinning. It's been happening lately when I've come live. I do apologise for that in advance. Oh, it was delicious. Really delicious. We've got some nice hanging baskets to put on the front porch. They're up there now with some carnations and some other fancy looking coloured flowers. Ordered the big half wine barrels for the front area and 1,000 litres of potting mix. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm sort of not looking forward to it. Do you know what I mean? Got some good tomatoes planted. Got some seedlings coming on. Yeah, the paper come up good. Thousand litres, which is about 400 gallons of potting mix. We work in litres in Australia. So if a pot, say, is 200 litres to fill, that would be 4 big bags of 50 litre potting mix. I've got heaps more pots for veggies, bits and pieces. Good time of the year, as you know. We've entered spring. It'll be 90 degrees here on Monday and Tuesday. It moves quickly here. We sort of come from winter and then release into spring. But that's good. Good growing season. Well, we had, you've had a hot summer. We had a really hot summer. And we had a mild winter. So hopefully it follows suit in the US for you, where you'll have a reasonably mild winter. Hopefully. But we're getting close to 30 kilowatt of power a day. We only use 13 or 15, so we don't pay any power bills. Hello, Jojo. I was just a powdered room because I need a head protection. That's easy fix. Just get a couple of spare tyres and put them on your head. You'll be safe. It'll be a bit dark and a bit lonely. You'll still be able to hear, but not much. But you will be protected. Yeah, we expected California, maybe Washington. Probably didn't expect Utah, Colorado, Oregon. Didn't expect what happened there. And they were definitely wildfires. No firefighter, the best in the world, just cannot stop them. It's, we get fires all year. We don't just have a fire season, we burn all year in this country, like up north. They've had catastrophic, but there is a plus to this in Australia because it was so severe here. We don't have to do a lot of back burning. Many of the areas won't have anything like catastrophic. So, doesn't mean we won't get big bushfires. Hello, Paddy. But we won't have anything like last year. I remember seeing a satellite photo of Australia, just looked like someone had poured petrol over the whole country and put a match to it. Two things nature throws at us that we just cannot control. We can't do anything about them. Is excess flooding and fires. We can do our best. Out of all of them, the flooding is the worst. Keeping it cool? How are you, my friend? May the bacon be with you. And we've had some good speck, German speck. Found a nice spot to get it. It's delicious. Yeah, I'd still like me streaky bacon, but nothing wrong with a bit of speck. But the nights are pretty good now. Like I say, Sunday's going to be about 85, 90 Monday and Tuesday. Like I say, we sort of go from winter to summer. It's a brand called ETA, and it's a barbecue sauce. It's different. If you've ever had, if you've ever had HP sauce, imagine putting a little bit of Worcestershire in it, and it'd sort of be close. But it's a unique brand. And it's great for barbecues. Like, it's good on barbecue, mate. No, it's not HP. We've got all different sauces, but the ETA is it's just a nice molassy type barbecue sauce, great for basting if you're doing ribs or something. Walk into my kitchen, all the herbs, spices and condiments, and in the fridge. If you took all them out of my kitchen, it'd be like, not much left. Hello, Tony. Yeah, she has a lot. She has plain barbecue sauce, but she likes that ETA one probably better. I like a little bit of bite. Even in my stew tonight, I put some chili sauce because I like chili. I think it's good for you. The stew turned out magnificent, and there's only about another 6 bowls full left. You just had a shower. You're spick and span. Oh, I don't think I did that, but it was by pure chance I pressed the button to join, and I joined. Most of the time I've ever pressed it on my mobile phone, and it doesn't work. So it did work. Good, just have a friendly conversation with good people. But the days are just magnificent here now. Beautiful sunshine. I'm sure Tony's getting a few of them as well. Beautiful days, not too cold at night. Kids are coming around. No, it's not my birthday, but Sunday makes it easier for everyone working. So there'll be all sorts of goodies. I know the wife is making corn fritters, and she's made the potato salad. You had a birthday party last night. Was it your 30th, Scarlett? Tony, Elbow misses you. Nah, I don't think anyone misses Elbow. My son's 44th. My son's 41. Is that for the doggies or the magpies?
Doggies.
I bet you the magpies can't. The wife's got a shiny bowl that she cleaned up for an outdoor water for the dogs, but the maggies will find it. Yes, it goes very quickly. Like you could think right now on the birth of your child, your first child. And then you blink your eyes, Scarlett, and you go, what happened? It's like different decades, how things have changed. It's like if I took you back to the 60s. Well, some of you weren't around in the 60s, but I'm sure Scarlett was. It's like it was different. It was very electric and changing, and things were different. "24 times over." Not sure what that means, and does that something to do with a tractor? They were fun. I mean, I remember my sisters having parties when they were like 15, 13. All the boys coming over, they all looked like the Beatles. "And when I tell you that I love you, yeah." I'd always get you, "Go to bed." "Well, I'm missing out. Go to bed now." Righto. Sneak back down again. From the UK to Australia. I'm probably getting a bit of spinning going on. Apologies. Totally different. The 70s was different. Due to ego rock. It was sort of someone summed it up neatly for me. The 70s were a bit sleazy. Can't breathe. Have you tried removing your foot from your mouth? Just a suggestion. Yes, I know. We had it for 9 months solid. You'd always pull your t-shirt over your nose, or wrap, your coat around. I think I'm back. I'm not sure. It's one of those nights. And 80s, all individual artists, mainly women. 90s the same. Bands, there's a few, but not so much. If I said to you today, how many bands are there left now? Not many. Oh dear, it's spinning again. I'm probably not here. It's in the Hollywood Hills. If you want to find JoJo, you just got to look at the concrete on Hollywood Boulevard. Damn thing spinning. Bloody thing. I don't know if you can hear me. It's spinning on the big phone, which means it'll probably disconnect again shortly. Keep spinning and spinning. Give it another 5 minutes. If it keeps spinning, I'll just shut it down. Just keep spinning. Stop spinning there. It's spinning on the actual phone I'm broadcasting on.
What phone?
Here comes the boss.
What boss?
You're the boss.
No,
Ever.
I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are. No, I think you're wrong, Scarlett. I think it's every Democrat's out there with a match, obviously. Just tongue in cheek there, of course. Damn thing keeps spinning. Are you sure, Scarlett? I'll just do a radio broadcast from February. Are you ready? This is February's broadcast. Yes, I'm telling you, John, this virus is deadly. It's incredibly deadly. It's like 5% compared to less than 1% of the common flu. It's absolutely deadly. And let's go forward several months. Nothing to worry about. It's just like the flu. You should be right. No worries. It's going to go away, disappear. Oh dear. No, he didn't listen to his medical advisor, Scarlett. He was clearly told, and he said how dangerous it was in February with an interview with a very renowned writer, and said it's about 5. Yeah. So no, he didn't listen to his advisor. His advisors said clearly this would test your administration, as it would be the hardest thing that you will ever face. What did he do? He went out to the public and said, don't worry about it, it's just a little flu. It's like the flu, it'll go away. So one, and then of course the excuse is, oh, I didn't want to panic everyone. But he's happy to panic everyone about everything else. See, this is where you take numbers, Scarlett, and you sort of like twist them. The figures were actually 9.6%, and it was directly killed you, the virus. But the virus also killed all the other people with. I'm not sure if I'm back. See, people read those information from the CDC and then just quickly said, oh, only 6% died of the COVID. No, that's incorrect. Yes, 94% die of underlying conditions, Scarlett, who would not have died if they didn't get the virus. You see how you can manipulate percentages and figures and numbers and statistics? Truth is, 94% would not have died if they didn't get COVID. So what ended up killing them? COVID. Yeah, I'm stating exactly the same figures you're stating. But the fact is, without COVID, the 94% would not have died. So it staggers me. Every day I wake up and think how close the US is getting to 200,000 deaths. Now, in the normal flu season in the US, it's about 25,000 people, up to 35,000 in bad years, with a very strenuous strain of flu. So this is 10 times the amount. You know, even in the flu season, it's those people with underlying medical conditions who generally sadly pass away. So a catalyst is having a virus or an infection whilst you have underlying issues. I tried to go back and do some research, Scarlett, into administrations who have had people work for them who've ended up being charged with felonies. And there's a few, but nowhere near these numbers. This administration has had more criminal charges placed against people that have worked in the White House than the combined US history of presidents' administrations. So that sort of tells you something. Oh, the figures I got of 25 to 35,000 was from the CDC. Same place you're quoting figures from. Australia, staggering. In my state, I told you this in the February count that they do, which is 12 months. And we normally have 1,100 to 1,500 people get the flu. In February, the count was 24. Because of social distancing, no one actually contracted the flu from each other because they were staying away from each other. It does teach us something that even normal years with just the flu going around, if during the flu season we're just smart and socially distanced, and you know what I'm saying? That's the reason why the flu figures in this country are staggeringly low. But everyone can play with statistics. But there are 200,000 grave sites coming up in the US who more than likely would not have died. And that figure is staggering. We're not celebrating today, of course. Over 100 countries, people from over 100 countries lost their life on 9/11. Not many Americans actually acknowledge that. There's quite a lot of Australians that died in 9/11 as well. But 100 different nationalities of people from different countries died in 9/11. And that figure was around 3,000, just under, I believe. And when you think of how horrific that was and the loss of life, but in America, every 3 days, it's the same number. It is that tragic in my mind and heart to think that 3,000 people after every 3 days are dead. The true impact of it will be historical. In years to come, people will look back and just shake their head. If you look in Victoria at the moment, a state in Australia, they're having up to 500, 600, 700 cases a day. They've locked the whole state down for over 5 weeks now. Now the figures are down to the mid-30s because everyone's been locked down, only essential workers, no one goes out, really stringent laws, and it's working. I just wish other countries would look at that and think, well, that works. You and I always differ on the person that you admire, and I just despise what he's done for America. You think he's the greatest president you've ever had. You're an American. I think he's the worst president that anyone's ever had. Hello, rejects. Yeah, your numbers are down to 40,000 people a day, Scarlett. You have more in a day than we've had in throughout the whole virus. Yeah, it's okay. That's my policy. We don't clash. We have different opinions. And I think I will be vindicated. You know, I was talking about how many felons have been charged that have worked for the administration. Well, if Trump ends up going to prison, there'll be a whole wing of them. Instead of the West Wing, it'll be the oh shit wing. Like I say, I don't get the logic. I'm sure Canadians are the same as we are in Australia. If our Prime Minister is doing a crap job, we'll boot his ass. Our media will tear strips off them every day, and then they'll be kicked out. That's how it works. There's not one Prime Minister that I could... And I've had a beer with one Prime Minister and told one of them, another one, to get fucked. And I still don't think I put any of them on a pedestal. Thing about lawyers, Scarlett, generally there's a lot of hype, hyperbole or lying, and very few get put forward in the end to go to court. But when there's an act of criminality and it's unveiled and you've lied, there's a very good chance that you will be convicted. And on the other swing scale, Scarlett, I want you just to imagine for one moment Donald Trump has lost the election. Just bear with me for a second. I'm going to take you down a path. Donald Trump has lost the election. He's no longer the President of the United States. Here's the question for you. What does he do now? I have no doubt in my mind at all, as soon as he is out of office, the litigation that's coming is going to be like a landslide. No, I don't think he will be. Interesting theory by a Fox News journalist who wrote, Scarlett, I don't know the name of the guy, did see the article. He said if Mike Pence became president because Donald Trump resigned now, if he resigned right now, Mike Pence as president could pardon Donald Trump for any future charges. I looked into that, and the answer is that's very true. Quite staggering when you think of it. Yes, I think I would agree with you, Jojo. Well, it's one of those obvious things to me is that in the US, during these incredibly hard times, the wealthier have got even wealthier. And the average working person's been screwed. Do you know what I think, Scarlett? I think the Republican Party, deep-seated down, has had enough. I think there will be an et tu Brutus moment coming up. You know, the scene of Caesar in the forum talking to the senators, and then they all get up and stab him. I think Mr. Trump is about to face an et tu Brutus, someone very close to him, putting in the final dagger, if you like, metaphorically. I've done the vote in Australia, and we're not liberals by any means in Australia, trust me. A lot of people in Australia are very centrist. And the vote was taken. If you were an American, was the question, who would you vote for in the upcoming 2020 election in the USA? 94% said Joe Biden. The answer given was choice of why, and it was, most people replied, because he basically sounds like he could be leading the country. No, they're not going to be tried for treason, Scarlett, at all. Remember you said by now Hillary Clinton would be the candidate? Do you remember telling me that? What happened to that, Scarlett? You'll have to sack your sources because Hillary is not the candidate for the election. Exactly, Rujix. It's obvious to me what we're seeing unfold. All the cushioning, like all these loans, business loans went out to people. Do you know what most of these people did in these companies, Rujix? They bought their own shares. Clever way of keeping your price inflated. That's what happened. Billions of the dollars has been re-injected into their own companies as a bailout. Oh, Hillary may be given a position, but you clearly stated that Hillary Clinton would be the candidate to come up against Donald Trump. They were your words. And I said, not going to happen. No, Biden's not being used. I think Biden knows clearly that he'll be a one-term president, Scarlett. And I think everyone understands that. But one of the funniest things I've heard all week is people doing videos about why they're leaving the Republican and voting for Biden. And they say, I don't really want to vote for Biden, but if it's Trump and a can of tomatoes, I'll vote for the can of tomatoes. Otherwise, they just want him out. And that's been a universal process that's been going on. People are saying, we understand, I'm voting against my principles, but I don't want Trump back in. Let's say Biden gets elected and after 2 years he steps down. No big deal, Scarlett. It's happened before. Yeah. It's funny, and I know Canada and Australia don't do that. They've supported businesses by paying the wages of workers who can't work during the virus up to $1,500 every fortnight or 3,000 something dollars a month. But they haven't given big business money. No one in Australia with large capital has said, oh, can I have $5 billion because of the virus? They go, no, you cannot. It's theft. Because you've got to realise, government money is the people's money. So all these executives that have been pouring all the bailout billions in the US into their own companies by buying back shares is stealing the people's money. I think what will happen when Biden takes office, as long as that stupid person doesn't press any buttons or cause a war in between November and 21st of January, is that there will be a huge sigh of relief. Not what people want in general, if you're a Republican, but it's better than what you got. That's what a lot of people have been saying, and I agree with them. It's hard to vote against your principles, but if you're doing it for the reason of supporting your country first, it's a very good reason to change from Republican this time to vote for Democrat, just to get change. And like people have often said to me, you know, I'm an American, do you think we're the laughing stock of the world? I'm saying, no, you're not at all. Your administration is. The amount of antagonism and just absolute derogatory comments made at different countries around the world is absurd. No, Scarlett, that's incorrect. Joe Biden does not want to defund the police. Joe Biden is not going to hit you with higher taxes. You know why? Because no one's got any money. There's a rebuilding process that needs to take place in the US. See, I've got to say, I'm a very lateral, logical thinker, and I will look at things and say, no, I was wrong, that didn't happen. But you are not at all, Scarlett. You are one-eyed with a pirate patch over it, and I swear what Donald Trump said you'd agree with. I could walk down Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and it'd be fine. And you'd say, yeah, that's okay. It's just ridiculous when you take straws that suit your agenda and don't look at the big picture. I haven't heard you once say about the white supremacists who've gone around and shot people or burnt buildings. They've been captured on film. They've been arrested by some good officers. You don't mention that at all. You always mention it's the peaceful, democratic Antifa, Black Lives Matters mob that are doing all the burning of your country. Again, I've got to remind you, Scarlett Poppyfield, all this is happening under your president's watch. You need to suck that up and realise that if someone's the boss and they're not doing their job and the country's burning and there are protests and fighting and racism, he's the one that's running your country. No, white supremacist groups have been infiltrating all sorts of protests, Scarlett, and you can go and check up yourself. You don't need to listen to me. Exactly, Rujix. And it's been worked that way that the average working man, as hard as he works, can get nowhere at all. I know you would disagree, Scarlett. You don't think that Donald Trump's farts stink. You would bottle them and sell them as perfume. Because I think that's what you think. It doesn't matter what he does. It's great. Well, one thing Donald Trump did say, he would make America great again. And he has, but you need to look at the spelling of the word great. G-R-A-T-E. There is so much internal conflict in the country. Racism has never been that bad since the 50s and 60s. Hatred of each other is on the streets. And again, I remind you, Scarlett, this is not under Joe Biden as president's watch. This is under your president, Trump. Yes, we will make America great again, just not with the jockey on your horse. It's not going to happen, Scarlett, at all. How do you answer questions like, and you're a woman, so I respectfully asked you this, if Donald Trump come up to you and wanted to say, can I grab you on the pussy? How would you react to that? Would you say, yeah, fine, you're the president? It's like, no, you wouldn't. Or if you had like a son that was married to a Mexican lady and you saw a vision early in 2016, 17, of kids in cages, and one of those kids was one of your grandchildren. Because they're part Mexican, they've decided to put him in a cage. You don't get his remarks, and has done for all his life. He's a misogynist. He hates women. Only what he can get out of them would he be happy with. Well, you see my point, Scarlett. Imagine if your grandson was in a cage on the border, which happened. I'm not making that up. Or if your son sadly fell ill to the COVID virus after President in February said it's very dangerous and it will kill people, 5% compared to less than 1% of the, when it comes to things like that, that's lying. Like I've told you before, and I mean this sincerely, in the future, I've looked at my crystal ball, Scarlett, and President Trump will be wearing the same coloured jumpsuit as the tone of his skin. Mind you, he'll be amongst friends. It's, like I say, it's one of the crossroads for the planet. Times are rapidly approaching, Scarlett. And I can tell you, with a hand on my heart, if America votes Donald Trump back in, that will be the end of America as you have known it. Have you ever thought why he likes Putin so much? Or even admires the Premier of China? Do you know why, Scarlett? Well, they've worked out a way to stay in office, Putin until 2036. Xi Jinping for life. Donald Trump would love to follow suit. But that would be called a dictatorship. He's not, I can tell you, your president is not welcome in Australia. I'm pretty damn sure he's not welcome anywhere in the Western world. No one is interested in him coming to our country. I don't think he's a twat. Not fit for office. No, there's not, Scarlett. You're making a statement up which I know for a fact. I just told you they did a vote 3 weeks ago. 94% of Australians would vote for Joe Biden. So unless you personally know the 6% of the Australians that voted for Trump, and you got all their phone numbers or you got contact online with them, it's a very low percentage. And you know what? They don't, Australians don't dislike the Republican Party. I'm buffering again, do apologise. I'd ask Tony, I mean, we don't hate the Republican Party in America. We just don't like what's happening to America under the guidance or lack of your current president. It's as simple as that. He's a dickhead. He wouldn't last 5 minutes in Australia. I go to channels made by Australians for Trump. Well, I don't think they're going to be having thousands of people. Even before the calamity, I mean, the lies. You know, the bill that Trump says that he put forward for the vets. No, Obama did that, but he takes credit for that. He states that he's created more jobs in the first 3 years of his administration than Obama did. No, that's not true. Trump says that I inherited an economy on the brink of collapse. No, that's not true. These are all facts. And he says the opposite. He lies. I don't, look, Scarlett, with the greatest respect, I do not want to go to nutcase channels that support Donald Trump at all. I've already made my mind up. I think he is the most dangerous president that the US has ever had, and he will be one of the only presidents throughout the world who will be in prison for the actions on, but not for one moment, as we all should do, is self-judge ourselves and our opinions. If you think that Donald Trump has never done anything wrong and he is the best president of the United States, good luck to you. And I think he will be in jail in the future, unless he does something silly to himself, which would be very sad. He's tried to build, I don't know whether you know, there's an old story about people getting into power and nepotism. And these are Donald Trump's words, by the way, Scarlett. I like nepotism. They're Donald Trump's words, not mine. But why people do it in power is to build a dynasty. A dynasty. He's lining up his son and his daughter and others, and it's just incredible to watch from afar. You don't have a Republican Party, Scarlett. Not the one I remember. You have the party of Trump. He's had a dynasty of failures. Scarlett, I don't know, do you actually know the history of Donald Trump? The bankruptcies, the lies about he's a self-made billionaire. Not true. All the money come from Daddy Jack. All the money. No, you don't have a very strong Republican Party at all. You have a fragmented Republican Party that is a shadow of its former self. Oh, the election will come soon enough. But a lot of people think that, kicking Donald Trump out of office is a major thing. I'm very lateral in thinking. There's a lot of people that have been toeing the line on the Trump administration. They are going down as well. This is a wall that Donald Trump is not expecting, because it's going to cave in on him and the cabal that he's been trying to change America with. Like I say, if you were a logical person, and I've got to tell you, Scarlett, you are not when it comes to politics. You're one-eyed, blind-sided. You don't see any fault, which is an error in itself. And when it comes to the fact that you don't see any error in the administration of Donald Trump, you have a problem, not me. Well, if you're very logical, the statement that came out from the journalist, highly respected, that you hear Donald Trump's own words, I'm playing it down, and I'm still playing it down now, while the shovels are digging the graves of Americans. As long as you're not wearing a wig, that's the main thing. All right, Jojo, be careful, stay safe, put a mask on. You need it more and less for smoke, let alone anything else. I really do see a period of 8 to 12 years until the Republican Party can rebuild and present an alternative to what they've had for the last 4. This damage to the Republican Party is really deep, Scarlett. You look at some of the logical things, like the former president, George W. Bush. He's supporting Biden. You can't get anyone more Republican than a previous president. And he's saying he will support Biden. He works on the principle, like a can of tomatoes, I'd vote for that instead. Colin Powell, voting for Biden. I could go on forever. These are all previous, well-respected administrators of the Republican Party. And it's like, where there's a bit of smoke, there's bound to be a bit of fire. But at the moment, it's a raging fire, a political one. Hatred and division is what your country is right now. And what I really want to emphasise to you, Scarlett, your country is burning, there's riots, all these things under the president that runs your country today. So you can't squeeze out of that one. You can't blame other people. If you're the president of your country and 200,000 people are dead through a virus that you basically ignored, and the country is racially divided, and there are riots and protesters, you have to realise all of this is happening under his presidency, not somebody else's. That's logic 101. But now, back to my stew. It was delicious, wasn't it? Tasty, very brothy, yummy. Had some nice bread and butter with it. What sort of bread was that?
Homemade grain bread.
Wasn't homemeal.
No, it's grain.
It was yum. So what did you have for dinner tonight, Scarlett? Or what are you having for dinner, I should rephrase. I think we're having all sorts of food tomorrow, aren't we? The kids are making and cooking, and so that stew will be Monday night, I think. Yeah, I can eat pizza. I like making my own. Actually, I did buy 2 pizza trays this week, just mediums, probably 12-inch, with the holes in, Scarlett. Make my own dough and make my own pizzas. There's nothing like homemade pizza. I can literally cook it faster than you can order it. Oh, that's the way to go. You'd have liked a beef stew tonight, Rejects. It was rich, just basic potato, carrot, onion, broth, and it was delicious. I probably like stews and soup, but there's nothing to making pizza dough, and it's so simple and it's so fast. You can make it days ahead if you want to. I should give this a, want to spray down early in the morning, you reckon? Clean it up, the deck.
Yep.
Just get that sprayer thing and hit it.
Just wash it.
Or would you want me to use the blower and just blow it all out?
Yeah.
Okay. As long as the question that you ask politically has got to do with food, the answer is yes, Scarlett. What sort of pie does President Trump like? I can answer that. And it's not humble. I've never trusted polls, Scarlett, so that's not a question I'd be interested in answering. Polls fluctuate like a fart. And usually the incumbent is always looking in polls behind, in all countries and all elections. So they're not really anything. But the mood of the people and what people say makes more power. And what we hear, all the bites you hear around the world from Americans and at all. A brand new year, 2021. Not at all, when you think of the obvious ones. To give you the obvious ones, News Corp, anything associated with it, like some countries, Sky News is not influenced by Rupert Murdoch, but a lot of them are. So you'll get very right-wing conservatives on there, even extreme right. Fox News, obvious one. NBC, that's basically left. CNN is probably fairly central, although it looks a bit left. I could go on and on. But the relevance is what people are saying, not what news agencies are saying. News wants to tell a story and make it sensational. In other words, you know, Melania Trump's skirt ripped. You saw her knickers. Big news. 10 days of the same shit about Melania's butt. Why? Because it sells newspapers and shit like that. Any relevance? No, none at all. Well, Donald Trump is about right. I'm getting the best ratings since President Lincoln. In fact, I'm probably better. We can maybe chip Lincoln's face off the cliff face and put mine there. Yeah, we could change it. Just ask me. I'm good. Do you know what's called deferral in way that people speak? Donald does it all the time. I'll give you an example, Scarlett, and you will agree with me. You won't disagree with me. He will use the words, they say, people say, I've been told. Not actually pointing to anyone in particular, just using the words. Many people say. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's a process of painting a picture, which is just fantasy. Many people say, they say, and it's just words. It's hyperbole, or what we call lies. And unfortunately, and I'm not being rude to you, but the intelligence of your boss, the leader of your country, he's not that clever. He's predominantly a salesman. And America doesn't need a salesman. It needs people working on the floor. Which means when you build a picture and people believe it, they'll vote for you because they believe it. Doesn't even have to be true. Anyway, let's get back to food. I know the kids are making something tomorrow for me. I'm out of my depth because I normally do all the cooking, but the kids are cooking. There's one question I remember that was asked during the time of Bill Clinton's presidency. Great question by a reporter. I can't remember what his name was. And it was fundamental questions like, what has America become? And I think some of the answers were stagnated. And you only got to look from the Clinton era to today. Do you know what the wage for an average American working 20 years ago was, Scarlett? Per hour? It staggers my mind. I think they've lifted it to over $10 an hour, I think. It could be less, but I think it's $10 an hour. Year 2000, it was around about 7. That's right, about 7. But it was 7 18 months ago. But if I asked you, Scarlett, have the price of food gone up? Price of electricity, price of gas, medications, school uniforms, rental accommodation for a holiday. Have they stayed the same for 20 years? No. Americans have not even kept up with inflation. They've been left behind. So if you ask the question today, what has America become? It's gone up to about 10, I think, or just under 10, Scarlett. But that doesn't even compare to other Western cultures at all. I was earning $25 an hour in 1980. Most tradesmen will charge between $90 and $120 an hour. That's accepted. Everything's gone up. If I said what was a gallon of milk in the year 2000 price, what is it today? Loaf of bread, all those sort of obviously staple foods, 5 times in price. And then you start to think, so I'm still working as hard as I used to do as an American, but my money doesn't go anywhere near as far as it did 20 years ago. That's not progress. But there's plenty of billionaires that love it, they're making lots of money. And every 15 to 20 years they take all the 401k money off Americans and keep it for themselves. So I do, and I did a little video not long ago, I want America to be good again. Where you work hard, you get a reward. Where your health can be cared for, whether by a national system or a very reasonable private system, not the one you've got now. And I'd like your school children not to have to pay for their education in any way. Healthy nation full of well-educated children means that your nation will progress incredibly well. Don't look after the health of a nation, people don't work. Put strains on the social security system. That's how it works. Healthy nation, people work. But it won't be long now, Scarlett. And I'll be leading the man in orange down a corridor, like in the movie 1984. And I'll be pointing to a door that says 101. Mr. Trump will look me in the eye and say, am I going in 101? I'm saying, yes, you are. Does that mean I can come back? No, you can't. Click. 1984, room 101. Stay away from sugary stuff, excess processed foods, all that sort of thing. Drink water instead of Coke or Pepsi, and try and be good to each other. Let's make America good again. From me and the boss, good night.